Yep.
We got two things we're talking about today.
Oh,
Our
yeah.
fishing topic is what happened in Florida, and the random take, we're going to talk a little Zelda, a little Mario. We're going to see what's up on the Switch. But first things first, you just got back from a fishing trip in Florida.
A man's naked behavior outside of his Florida home, all caught on camera.
He'll be out there working on his car, opens the garage door up, stands there, works on his car, old Camaro he's got in there.
What happened in Florida, Tim?
Dude, just naked guys working on their cars everywhere. It's gnarly. First thing I saw when I got down there is just like, is that a naked guy working on a Camaro? No, honestly, where we stayed at in Florida was not your typical Florida man stuff. We were very north, but when we drove through some of the other states, it was like, holy shit, dude.
We'll give a rundown for everybody, just like, because I even kind of need a recap of like, what were your points? Because so if I remember right, you left central Minnesota and you drove to the panhandle of Florida.
Yes, sir.
That's all I forget time frame and stops and all that stuff.
Yeah, so we took it 3 days down, 3 days back, and stayed down there for 4 days.
Oh, and some people might be asking, why is this the fishing topic? Oh, you'll see.
Yeah, you'll
Hang
see.
in there for the ride.
I was going to tell you what's up now, but you better stay along for the road trip. Here we go. I took off from Minnesota. And then we drove to Nashville. No, Nashville was night 2. Okay. Night 1, shitting dicks, man.
You can't even remember, and this was your trip.
Now I can't. Yeah, now I can't remember.
Are you sure it wasn't Nashville? Well,
I'm trying to remember. Nashville was night 2.
Once you're in Nashville, man, you're in the South already. So yeah. I can see how that would be stop 2. Yeah. But then where's the first one? Gary, Indiana, or something?
Gary, Indiana. Nope. It was not. Dude, now I can't even remember. That's crazy. I cannot.
That is crazy.
I cannot remember the first.
But you stopped north of Nashville, so you drove
Indianapolis.
Oh, nice.
We stopped at. We stayed in Indianapolis. We went to Indy night 1. So we went from Minnesota to Indy night 1, Indy to Nashville night 2. But in that trip, we went to a cave that had enough water in it that we were able to go on a pontoon boat ride in the cave. And inside that cave, they have like translucent white crayfish.
No,
that are blind because there's no light down there.
They're cave crayfish.
They're cave crayfish. They don't have. Way. It's gnarly.
Where's this?
It was in that one was in Missouri.
Sick, dude.
I forget exactly where. I think that one was, or no, maybe
Missouri's good. That's all I was wondering. I was just wondering, like, if this like was a stop and like zip over to Tennessee or something.
It was.
That one was in Missouri.
Oh, maybe that was in Kentucky, dude. I really should have wrote all this down. I wasn't thinking about like listing out all the stops because we were going to go to Indiana Caverns. And then that one was like one of those where they didn't stay open as late in the year.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we were in Missouri. Yeah, it was Mizzo, Indianapolis.
That's sick, dude.
It was in Illinois. I don't remember. Or Kentucky. I don't remember. All over
Could have been Virginia. I don't know. How far did we drive? But I mean, here you go. This is already getting into fishing.
That's what's getting me thrown off so much, dude. I'm looking at the freaking map sideways. It was in Kentucky. I'm like, why? None of this makes sense to me. The map was sideways. It was in Kentucky. So we went, or it was the south side of Indiana, and then we went into Kentucky afterwards. But it doesn't really matter. We hit up that cave. Then we went to Dinosaur World in Kentucky, which if you got a little kid and you want to see some dinos and they're into dinos, cool beans. definitely a once and done type stop. It's like never one of those where I'm like gonna go back. It's like it's okay for the experience. You know, it's fun having the super southern people just being like, here's y'all's maps. Just be like, all right, hell yeah. And,
yeah, dude.
And then we went down to Florida.
Hold on. Did we cover the boat and the inside? You were underground in a boat looking at crayfish? I mean,
in a boat. Yeah, we drove through. It was a big, big cave and it was cool. They showed us a couple of different spots of where there was animals that had fallen down there and died.
No,
so they're
way.
like, yeah. So they're like, here we're, you know, this is probably like a bison or whatever, and they're like, this is probably like almost like ice age, aged animals. And they're like, here's what happens in this cave. They're like, we're gonna show you what like true black is, and they shut off the lights for a minute, and you literally can't see a thing. So they're like,
oh my god.
So they're like, they would wander into this cave, make one wrong step, and then that was the end of it, because they would never find their way out.
Yeah, because they're dependent on their eyesight.
Yeah, and there's no way, you can't even see light to get back to where you came in.
Right.
It's just you're stuck. You don't even need to travel far to never find your way back out. Because
holy fuck.
Yeah, it's nuts. So there was quite a few animals that were dead down there, but it was cool. They had like fossils that they had unburied and all sorts of stuff. So that was kind of cool. And the pontoon boat ride was kind of like weird because it was a little bit droughty. So the water was a little bit low.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically just like drive you down to the end. It's kind of like a thin path.
Sure.
And it's not a full-size pontoon boat. It's like a pontoon boat that's like been made to take on fit this water.
Sure.
But it's like
custom
long,
boat, dude.
Yeah, so it's like long and kind of tippy and stuff, but they put like 20 of us on there. And then we go down to the end, and then she has to like turn around, and it's just driven with a trolling motor.
Of course.
And then we turn around, and the funny thing is she's just like, oh, we're gonna turn around like this, and she's like, don't worry, I get it. And she's kind of like getting stuck, and she's like, the water's low, and we just have to do this. I promise I've done it before. And I'm just like looking at her the whole time, like knowing exactly what needs to be done to make this turn. Just being like, I'm not going to try to be that guy. That's just being like, let me do it. But like, I 100% know what.
Right.
I'm a professional driver and I use trolling motors a lot.
Right.
I got this one. But
I'm just saying, if you need, if you want.
It don't matter. I'm on vacation and I'm here to enjoy this cave. You struggle on this turn for a while. I don't care. I'll look around.
Right. I got plenty to look at. Was there any other cool like fishing wildlife that they pointed out?
There was like the beginning stages of like salamanders down there too. Like and they looked like a little tiny fry. Almost nothing to it. And she's like, that's what it is right there. And we're like, oh, crazy. But
that is crazy. So there's bait in there, but no fish.
Dude, the funniest part to me where she's just like, oh yeah, we actually like don't, she's like shining a flashlight on them. And she's like, we don't like to shine the flashlight on them though, because it's not their natural thing. So we don't do it much. And then we take like 2 steps and there's just like a bright ass spotlight lighting up the water so you can see everything. Just like, what the fuck about that? That thing's always on.
Where's the switch? Like we didn't turn that on when we.
Yeah. Just be like, I don't know. I think you contradicted yourself. She kept telling jokes. She was a super nice girl, but she kept telling jokes that just, oh, dude, she was bombing. Nobody's laughing. I can't even remember the jokes, but she was just saying stuff. And then towards the end, she was just like, she's like, it's crazy actually, because like when I started here, I was like junior year of high school, and now I'm junior year of college. And I just wanted to be like, whoa, crazy. This is nuts. It's not crazy at all. You get better stories. You do this every day.
You've been there for 4 years. Whoopee.
4 years, time has passed. Oh, that's nuts.
I got a 5-year-old sitting next to me.
Yeah, when I had him, it was
Experience
like
some life, kid.
when I had him, it was like 5 years ago, and now today, it's today. What? That's nuts. Time has passed. But so we went from that cave, and then we went to the dinosaur world, and then from there, we hit up Nashville, and then went to Florida after that.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the way home, we took a different path and went through St. Louis. And did we hit Nashville again? We might have hit Nashville a second time.
We
and then
probably
St.
went
Louis.
through St. Louis and Iowa City, Canada.
Well,
That's
we went
big hot spot. That's a
we
big,
went like through there,
people
but
love going to Iowa City.
Iowa City, Iowa.
I can't even say it.
No, we stopped at St. Louis. Oh, Memphis. We hit up Memphis the first night because we hit that Bass Pro Shops too. I don't know if I told you that.
Oh,
the pyramid,
no.
the big pyramid.
The pyramid one.
The pyramid. Hit up that pyramid. That was really cool. We were running short on time, and didn't get a chance to go to like the observatory, which was like way up at the top. And honestly, the pyramid was a little bit underwhelming because the pictures that they show you from an aerial view make it look like absolutely massive. And it was big. I just thought it was going to be way bigger.
Oh, like it just has the things around it are small enough to make it look huge when you take an aerial shot sort of situation. Sure.
Yeah. Yep. But it was still super cool. Like they had like,
it's a rad looking building.
When you walk in, they had a whole like Bill Dance, like statue, or not statue, like a replica of Bill Dance in a freaking bass boat in like a giant glass case. Because I guess like Bill Dance and Johnny Morris, the Bass Pro Shops guy. Like if you ever look at the high end Bass Pro Shops brand stuff, that's all like Johnny Morris signature series.
I was gonna say it has a signature on it, right?
Yeah. So it's those.
It's like the logo and then Johnny's signature underneath it.
Yeah. So it's like those two guys. It's like those two guys, I guess, like we're in cahoots with this, I guess, because they have that, and then they have like a trophy case as well. And it's like all Bill Dance's like trophies. So you get to come and see. I don't know if they're replicas or what, but you get to see like all the old school like Bassmasters trophies, a bass fishing book of Bill Dance when he was like way younger. And I was like, God damn, dude, I don't even look like him. just like, no, I don't know if I've ever seen him with his hat off, just posing for a picture. I've seen him with his hat off when he, breaks his fishing rod or falls into the lake.
Falls in the water. For sure. The bloopers, right?
Yeah, but I've never seen him like stop and just like look at a camera with no hat on.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, so that was crazy. So that was on the way back. Memphis, dude, in St. Louis. I gotta thank the in-laws. My sister-in-law Heather is the one that set it up. And we went to, I can't even remember what it was called. It was something lights right now. And they had the paper lanterns. And so you paid basically your way to get in here, and the entry fee got you a paper lantern.
Okay.
And I'm pulling up thinking like, oh, I hope this is going to be, that there's going to be a good turnout. Like, I really want this to look cool. Woodstock.
No.
Amount of like parking. Just a giant, maybe not Woodstock, might be too big, but like like that's like Minnesota style. Acres of land. There's a stage with live music, tons of food trucks. I immediately learned how big this thing was going to be when we pulled up and saw like 100 porta potties, like 2 deep. I'm like,
a double row back to back.
Double row back to back. I'm like, damn, dude, this is, and there was so many people there. It was honestly the most, like, not the most, but one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in my entire life. When they started letting, and then they had the music that was playing and stuff, and everybody's like lighting these things up and like letting them go at the same time. There's like a countdown, and they all start flying up, and they had that Rihanna song. It's like, lift me up. And it's just like, all this shit's flying. And it's just like,
dude,
literally everybody that you could hear within earshot goes, whoa. Because that's all you could do is just go,
right. Shit, yeah. Dude. I'm almost getting it. Like, I can feel the chills starting. I just didn't get them.
It was nuts. I took a video of it, and so did everybody else. But like the video just didn't do it justice.
No, I can't imagine it would at all.
You see a 2D version with just a bunch of light dots.
Yeah, no.
It's not the same as when you're there just witnessing them all floating. It was nuts, dude.
Oh my God, dude.
Absolutely insane. So that was crazy. Not fishing, but that was just
just something you had to mention.
And that thing just like travels around too. It's not like you can go
no
here.
shit.
Yeah, it's like a traveling deal where they've hit a couple of different places. This big field was owned by a winery.
Oh.
So this place like rents it out.
Yeah.
But they like give you markers so you could like write, you know, a lot of people, it was very ceremonial. Like they're writing people's names of like people that have passed and stuff.
Right. Yep.
Letting them go up into the sky and all that good stuff. And then they also, it was very like hippie-ish too, because they had these like prayer flags things that you could like, that would travel around with them. But they had these ropes roped off because it was such a big area that they had like roped off paths that you could walk through, and these big like where it was like a 4-way where the paths all meet, you could tie those flags up, and there was just a ton of these flags, and everybody was like, you know, writing whatever, dear John, or whatever the shit's. I didn't read one, I didn't do one.
Right.
I'm not trying to be that guy. I just don't have anything to say.
Right.
I'm just not that. Everybody else, I got made fun of later because everybody else is writing like all the names of their loved ones that have passed.
Yeah.
And I made a giant like smiley face, like, but like a goofy face. Cause I was like, that'll look cool, right? Just that goofy face floating through the air.
Right. Hell yeah.
So I was just like, I don't know, that I did write a couple names on there. You know, I wasn't just like cold hearted where I'm just like, fuck my grandma, dude. Funny faces for life.
But grandma got put on the backside, and on the front side was Mr. Yuck, because I thought it'd be fucking cool looking.
Exactly, dude. I was just like, everybody else is gonna.
I'm not judging you. I think it's hilarious.
Everybody's gonna be looking at this magical moment, and I'm just hoping one person just goes, huh, look at that one. This is just a face. You see that funny face? So, anyways, that was on the way home or whatever, but I didn't want to finish with that because I want to get into the fishing stuff now, because here we go, people. I get to the Florida part. This is why it's in the fishing topic.
Oh, wait. Did you get anything at the Memphis Bash? Like, did you get anything there?
Dude, so I really liked their Memphis teas that they had on their website, and I was like, I'll grab one of those when I was down there. That is a different one. Memphis already had a Bass Pro Shops. It was the other Bass Pro Shops that you got to go to get the other Memphis spot. They already had a Bass Pro Shops, and they made that giant pyramid one. So they technically have 2 Bass Pro Shops, and the other one is the one I should have gone to get the cool Memphis tea.
Damn.
And that's one of the reasons we didn't go to the top, actually, because I didn't know there was 2 Bass Pro Shops. I just knew that that's where the pyramid one was.
Right.
So I put in Memphis Bass Pro Shops, and one pops up, and I navigate to it, and I get there, and it's just a little Bass Pro Shops, and I'm just like, this ain't it. And I go, you got 2? I didn't know you had 2. That's not fair. So I screwed everything up. I drove like the wrong way, and then we were trying to meet for dinner with the in-laws. So it was like, shit. So we just ran into this other one real fast to just be like, oh, smaller than I thought. Just back up.
Without looking for the t-shirt.
Yeah, no, I looked for the t-shirt, but they only had like the pyramid t-shirts, and it was just kind of lame. It was like, Bass Pro Shops pyramids, and I was just like, I kind of just wanted the one that said Memphis. I don't really give a shit about your, I'm not trying to be a billboard here. I just like Bass Pro Shops Memphis. That's good enough for me.
Right.
But so we get to Florida, right? They have a Bass Pro Shops down there too. I go and hit up the Bass Pro Shops there.
And you didn't know this one was there? No, you
that
did.
One I knew. That one I knew. Yep. That one I knew was there. I was ready for it because I knew I needed to get a couple of things. And I was like, perfect. It's right there. I'm going to be going down there. I was thinking like, I should just put in an online order and then just like blow away like all the in-laws. Just be like, oh, I got to grab a couple things. Just be like, do you think they're going to have it? I have an order pickup waiting for me. It's fine. I know exactly what don't worry about it. But I was like, no, I don't want to do that because I need to have a reason to walk in the store and look at everything.
Right.
Which did not disappoint because there was a bunch of cool shit that I was sending you. Like they have flying fish lures, dude.
Dude, that was so crazy. Did you put them up on Instagram? Because you should put them up on Instagram, especially since we're talking about it now.
Oh, yeah. If I didn't, for sure. Actually, I think I planned on putting it up like before we talked about this episode. And then I ended up getting sick and not being able to do the last
yeah. You were drained.
So I think I was trying to time it right. And then I completely forgot. So yeah, I can totally put them up, which we record ahead anytime. Or anyhow, I can put it up now that we're talking about it. I could still get it up.
Yeah.
So go check Instagram because I bet it's up there. I bet it is. I bet I did it.
Yeah. And you got it. I think I put them over on X already. When you sent them to me, I think I threw a couple up and dude, it's fucking so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go into all the different lures now, but if you want to see what I saw, go and check it out because I got some cool pictures of some shit that if you're not from that area, it was some shit that I wasn't ever seeing before, like.
Well, we even cover iCast every year, right? Like we dive into iCast every year and it was still like, oh shit.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it was crazy. So I go in and I grab like a couple of different things that I need. I get everything rigged up and I'm ready to go surf fishing.
And you were confident last time we talked. You were confident. You were like, I think I got this.
Yeah. And I was not wrong. I got that part. I'll get to that part later because that was the part that went good.
Which is why you went and fished, why you went on your own to Bass Pro Shop because you're like, I think I got this.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Kick ass.
So I knew what I was doing from watching YouTube videos and getting prepped and everything. And I had a couple different rods and I went to Walmart and all this other stuff. I'll get into that in just a minute with that part, but I'll tell you.
Okay.
We went for a charter, right? $800, dude, to go fishing for a half a day, but we like split it down the middle because it was me, my wife, my brother-in-law, and my niece. And we all go out and I call up this dude. He's like a reputable, fishing
you done your
charter.
Research.
Did my research, looked like it was a good dude or whatever. I called him up. Seems like a good dude. I'm talking to him on the phone. So I'll preface this. This will make a little bit more sense later to why I say this part. So we get there and it's like a marina and I'm like, I don't even know where we're supposed to go. So I call this dude back and I'd be like, hey, we're here. Where do we go? And he's like, there's a big American flag over by here. Just walk towards that flag and you'll see like a pathway down to the docks. And I'm like, perfect. We walk over there. Sure enough, there's a dude sitting down there. And he's like, you guys are the 4 that are going out? I'm like, yep. He's like, all right, give me a couple of minutes and then we'll go. I'm like, cool. We go down there. We get on the boat. We drive really far away because we're in the bay side, right? We're not. So you got the panhandle, you got the ocean, and then there's this giant bay. And in the bay is like where all the fish come shallow. We were down there during peak time and stuff, so it should have been awesome. We did hit a bit of a cold front, so that kind of slows stuff down. It was colder than it was supposed to be, so I'm sure that was making things a little bit tough. But we go
because any fisher can relate to that. The cold front hits and it slows things down. But
but
slow down, shut down. There's a difference.
But
I don't even know where the story's going. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But we were using live bait, which is about exactly what you should be using. If you're trying to catch some eaters. After a cold front, because they might not be that aggressive and they're gonna bite a legit food. Like if shit is going south for me, I'm trying to catch walleye and it's whatever. If I think they're gonna be moving slow, like a night crawler on a fucking bobber or a leech can be deadly because just that slower presentation works. So I thought this was gonna work well. Anyways, we drive across the way and he gets these bait fish that look kind of almost like sunnies, like the shape of them, and they call them croakers.
Oh,
and he kind of like squeezes them a little bit, and it makes like a croaking noise. And I look to my wife, and I'm like, "You hear that?" And she's like, "Is it a woodpecker?" I'm like, "No, it's a fish right behind you." And she's like, "Huh?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, no, it was the fish, but I'm gonna call him woodpecker from now on, or whatever." So we get shrimp and that stuff, and we go out. I'll tell you, a clacker rig is what we were using. I thought we'd be fishing with like, artificial lures or some other stuff. A clacker rig is an egg sinker or like a football sinker, like a line through, and then there's a hook tied to so the line goes through the sinker, and then there's a hook tied on. Done. That's it. That's what you use. That's how you. So if you ever go down there
with live bait, then attached to the hook, and that was it.
This is not a story of success, folks. This is a story of woe and a forewarning to everybody that goes down there that you should know that you got probably a pretty damn good chance of doing just as good by yourself as I did now. Maybe if you go down there and it's hot and they know like, oh, fish have been biting like a molo. Come out here. I'm going to get you on some stuff. Cool. But what happened for us? Not the case. What I didn't like at all, first spot we hit after we got bait was a motherfucking boat landing, dude.
A boat landing?
I could have fished that shit from shore, dude.
You could have walked over. You could have found
that. It was a couple of docks. Their docks look different down there because they like never have to take them out. So they're all heavy duty, like wooden. Right?
Yeah, okay.
And and we're fishing this spot. And I guess it changes the stuff a little bit that, that dock's always there. So that structure's always there. So it's not something where it might be different on, certain times of the year. It's like a given that there are fish setting up here because it's always the same. I don't know. But we're fishing that boat landing, and then there's a guy coming to back his boat down. And he's like, oh, let's move. That guy's going to back his boat in. And I'm like, you're wasting our time moving to another spot now after you put us up on a boat landing. Also, I called and talked and said, like, we want to fish for redfish. And he started, trying to put us on whatever weird ass fish was living there. But he said that they were good eating. So I'm like, yeah, let's eat those. We didn't catch a single one that was big enough. They were all underneath the slot limit. So I'm like, shit. So we don't get any of those fish, whatever.
What were you catching? Do you even remember?
I forget what they were. They were some smaller fish, some sort of a drum or something. I don't remember. It was a fish.
Some kind of drum. Yeah. There's so many drums. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. It was something like that where it was, one of those fish where like, oh, I know what this is. Just I have never heard of this particular one. And they were all it's a relatively smaller species because the slot limit we had to get like over 10 inches or something.
Oh, okay.
So they were all relatively small,
And you're out in the ocean. I mean, this is the Gulf of Mexico that you're fishing.
Yes, this bay.
It's a bay.
It's a bay of the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. and you're getting 10-inch fish. I mean, you got to catch like a 10-inch walleye to keep on Mille Lacs.
Right. So, I mean, 10 inches is like a decent crappie. 10 is small as shit. It's like panfish size, but I'm like, whatever. If we're going to catch big panfish, if I can get a couple to keep,
yeah,
I'll definitely do that. But we're not catching any of that size. And he's like, immediately, let's move because this guy's pulling up. Maybe we could have caught a big one if we would have stayed there for a little bit, but
because you were pulling in fish, but they were all under slot.
Yeah. So we didn't catch many though. I caught one, or I didn't catch any. I didn't catch any on that spot.
Okay.
But we caught a couple fish, and then we moved to the next spot, and we're casting out a couple times, and all this, just brings us to like another bay off of this bay.
Mm-hmm.
And we're casting out and stuff. He thinks that he can see stuff. We don't get really any bites at all. I catch a sea trout, which is a fish I've already caught. One of my big things is I just want to catch something I haven't caught at least.
Right.
We catch a couple other fish between all of us. Still not anything special. Nothing that's big enough to keep. No redfish yet. I caught a trout, but it wasn't big enough to keep. And then same thing with some of the other people in the boat catching trouts. We moved to the next spot. I catch a fucking croaker, a new fish. But if you remember early in the story, that's the bait we're using. I caught the bait we're using.
You caught the bait.
I had the shrimp on, and I caught the other bait that we're using. So I caught the bait with the other bait.
Fuck.
So I caught the bait, and then in the last spot that he brings us, which is right by the marina, which is where we actually start catching redfish. But we is the group. My wife, my brother-in-law, and my niece all catch redfish. All small. I do not catch a redfish. I catch a trout, and right after I catch the trout, the guy goes, well, how about we end it on a fish? And I'm like, they're here. I paid $800 to catch a redfish. I just want to catch, and I didn't fight anything. It was Minnesota nice, but I still have bait on, live shrimp still. And I'm like, from where I'm from, you go, especially when you're catching fish, you go until you catch, they eat your bait. Right. But I caught the trout, he put another shrimp on. I wasn't the last one to catch a fish. So when he said, let's end on a fish, was when somebody else caught another fish.
Oh.
So I'm still sitting there with a live shrimp just being like,
right.
We actually started catching them now. And then, so the reason that I told you about the whole, talking to the guy and walking down and how I talked to him on the phone and everything, why that was important.
Yeah.
Halfway through the trip, I say, oh yeah, because I kind of screwed up. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I said something stupid on the phone. And I was like, yeah, we were on the phone. I kind of panicked. And it was just like, sometimes I'll say stupid shit, but don't really matter. And it'd just be like how I'd talk to you on the phone. And he's like, oh, you must mean when you were talking to Blake. And I'm just like,
oh,
yeah, dude, who are you? And just be like, oh, so you're not. And I said, what's your name? And he said, I'm Mitch. And just be like, oh. So not only are you not the guy that I talked to, which makes sense to why you weren't trying to catch redfish with us.
Right.
You didn't even tell us your name. I had to ask you your name halfway in. We've just been driving around with a stranger. I know. And but obviously they're not strangers. Not people we know anyways.
It's a legitimate business or whatever. But I get where you're going with you feel like you made a rapport with somebody.
Yeah.
And then
I've been
not
thinking,
that.
Yeah, I got catfished, bro.
Yeah, you did.
So
it is catfishing, dude.
Now, here's what I'm going to tell everybody.
Because also Blake should have just been like, hey, you're not going to be with me, but I'll make sure to pass this all on to Mitch. He's going to help you out.
I know. And he apparently didn't hear what was going to go down because he's like, we're going to try for these here because I got that spot. And we're going to try for this and that. And I'm just like, that's weird. I guess, you're going to try to put us on what you think you can catch. So that's cool,
Right. But when the Reds come in.
We didn't catch a single fish we could keep. And their whole thing was just like, you're going to walk away with a cooler full of fish. Now, I know that's a sales pitch, but you didn't put us on a single one that we could keep. I was thinking $800 is totally worth it when I'm putting, $100 worth of fish in the cooler. Yeah. But I didn't get to bring back a single fucking fish to the Airbnb that we stayed at. We have our own kitchen.
Right, where you could have really done it up.
I brought seasonings.
Oh, fuck.
I was 100% set on.
You brought them from
fish.
Minnesota?
One of them. I got Chef Paul's a seafood seasoning.
Oh yeah.
So I was ready, dude. But yeah, we didn't get any of that. But here's what I'm going to tell everybody. Clacker rig was that weight line through with a hook. They said that some of the different bait places have live shrimps and the croakers and stuff. You can get this at different places. I didn't go to any actual bait shops, but if you can get that, you got a very easy setup, and all you got to do is cast that out and just kind of let it go. You can feel the shrimp kind of pulling, and if you got another fish, a fish comes and grabs it, it'll take it. A shrimp will be pulling, and if you don't feel it pull anymore, then you probably don't have any bait left. It's that quick. They'll come and just rob you.
Just bam. Yeah.
And a croaker is like, we didn't catch a single fish on a croaker because we didn't get any big enough, you know?
Yeah, there were no fish that were big enough in your area to eat the croaker.
Right. If we would have got one of the bigger ones, it totally would have hammered down on the croaker. And that would have been like, no question, you got a fish. But these other ones, you would feel like a little nibble and a tug, and then it'd be gone.
It's like fishing in a pond with a bunch of little sunnies in it.
Right. Exactly. And they just come and snatch the bait off your hook because they can't eat the whole thing. They're just eating half of the shrimp and not grabbing the actual hook.
Right.
Which is kind of remarkable that I caught that croaker, but that's just kind of how it goes. I've caught tiny little fish that people are just like, I didn't think.
Yeah, it's going to say it's because you have like some sort of special attachment. Dude, I feel like that when you're driving too. Like the fact that you're a professional driver now in a truck and you're just like, whatever, this truck, I don't know, because you've always been like that in cars too. It's like there was a few people in our group, I'm not one of them, where it was like you guys could feel where the like edge of the car was, like the outside, like you knew where the bumper was.
Yeah.
And you have that with fishing for sure. You have that with fishing.
It's like, it's just something about like when you do it enough, it's like, even with the shrimp, it was like I felt the shrimp right away and I'm like, I know that's the shrimp. And then as soon as I felt something that was slightly different, I'm like, I don't think that's the shrimp.
Right.
It does not feel the same as it has felt.
Yeah.
And then it's reeling it up and I'm like, I got something, I think. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like it's fighting kind of, but it feels like it's not. And then I get up and I'm like, oh, because I caught the other bait. That's why it feels like I've kind of got something and I kind of don't, because it feels like the other bait.
It feels like that last rig that I threw.
Yeah,
or the last setup that I just threw.
So I tell you that the clacker rig is like that to tell you this.
Yeah.
The most productive spot we had was just outside of the marina. The marina was right next to this spot. It was like this restaurant that was called like Lucy's or something or whatever.
Okay.
And that place rents pontoon boats. They rent pontoon boats for $200 for the half day. We spent $800 for the half day. We could have got that pontoon boat and sat just outside that marina. Shit, I could have slipped him a 20 and been like, can I fish off of your fucking shore?
Right.
Can I fish right here? I don't know if they would have allowed that. They might have been like, no, but for $200, I could have got that pontoon boat and we could have sat right in that most productive spot the whole day.
And that's where the reds were hitting?
That's where the reds were hitting. And I bet there was probably a bigger one that would have came swimming through eventually. I bet there would have been, even if it wasn't big, it would have been big enough to keep. And then we would have been, because reds are good eating too.
Right.
They're not only one of the most sought after game fish, they're also good eating. To the point where Chef Paul Prudhomme has blackened redfish seasoning. It is a seasoning you can buy specifically for that fish, and that's that is the only fish he has singled out
by name.
The other one is for seafood everything.
Right.
They have a redfish one. So I was like, that sucks, but we could have spent $200, put on that clacker rig, sat on that pontoon boat, and just chilled right there all day in that same spot.
Fuck. So, and were you familiar? I'm not saying you haven't done this in Minnesota, but were you familiar with the clacker before you even got?
No. I was familiar with the clacker because I saw it on YouTube. But the clacker rig is like not something we really use down here. There might have been a bead in between the hook and the weight, but Google a clacker rig and you'll pop right up. It's so easy to do. No big deal.
But this was the first time you had ever used one.
This is the first time, yeah. But it's not much different than some of the other rigs. It's just a line through a weight with a hook on it with live bait.
Right.
You know,
it's
which
like sounds super familiar, but not like
it's like a Lindy rig you don't. Yeah, it's like a Lindy rig you don't troll.
Oh.
It's kind of like a Carolina rig you don't reel in because you have live bait. It's like a Carolina rig with the live bait. Kind of. Yeah. Or more like a Texas rig.
Okay.
With live bait. But the through line just lets them swim basically.
Right.
Like the weight will bring them down to the bottom and then the through line can just kind of let them swim and do their own thing.
Yep. Near the bottom.
So, yep.
Probably.
So that's what happened there. Still spend the money. I was not pleased with the guy at all. It also bothered me a lot that when, we didn't set this up like super far in advance because I didn't know if the brother-in-law wanted to. I didn't know how many people were like, this was something that we had to get on the trip to talk this over with. So we set it up, called them. They had an opening. We took it. And when we drove over to the guy that was getting the bait, the guy said something to him about the bait, and he was like, yeah. And he kind of said it like he was disappointed, like, I didn't know I was fishing until last night or whatever.
Oh.
And it was kind of just being like, listen, I know that there wasn't a whole lot of heads up on this, but this is your job, and your job is to go fishing with people for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And maybe you think that $800 isn't a lot of money to these people because we're on vacation. I'm not loaded.
Yeah.
I've been waiting years to take this vacation. I've been waiting a lifetime to go on this trip to go down and try to catch redfish.
And
this guy, it was just another day at work. Like $800 is a lot of fucking money, dude.
But also like not even just another day at work, but almost like thought I was gonna have the day off and now I have to fucking work.
Thought I was gonna go get the fish by myself, but I guess I gotta fish with these guys for money. Oh, sounds like you really got a bum job. I'm over here working shit ton of hours having to do stupid stuff that my boss is telling me to do, and your boss is like, looks like you're gonna have to go fishing tomorrow, and you're just like, nah, fiddlesticks. Fuck off, Mitch the bitch, bro. I was calling him the whole time we came back, and just be like, I saw you put it in the doc. What did you learn on your trip? I learned that if your name is Mitch and you suck, I'm gonna call you Mitch the bitch the rest of the trip. That's what I learned. But anyways, no, I'm a little bit salty over that. He did his best at trying to put us on fish, I think.
Sure, yeah.
But also wasn't very into it. And for that amount of money, you just gotta like put on a happy face, or at the very least, tell the people your fucking name, dude. What the shit?
Try to be a little bit friendly.
If I wouldn't have asked you what your name was, we maybe have gone through that whole thing, and I never would have even knew who you were.
Right.
Just been like, Blake's kind of a loser, and just be like, you didn't even fish with Blake. You'd just be like, that's even worse, man. So anyways, I'll go through this other part quick, because I know that we're kind of like running late here, and if this is one of the split parts, come back for the random take, because I'll talk a little bit more about the fishing trip when we get into that, when I have a little bit of the bourbon that I got down there. I'll tell you what this bourbon is like there, but we'll hit the fishing stuff now and save this for the
random
second half. The random take.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
We'll hit a little bit more Florida that's more pertinent to just, I'm going to have a drink in the random take. See you over there. Wink, wink. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyways, so the surf fishing that I set up myself and got everything going and stuff. I got a couple of different rods. I got a couple of different reels, and I went out there. I didn't get like super over the top stuff. I'm not going to explain the rigs because they're kind of hard to explain. But
you taught yourself how to do it.
They're through YouTube videos. Yes.
Yeah.
They're called,
but I mean, you did the research to teach yourself and stuff like that. It's not like you just stole the clacker rig from this guy and went out and tried again. This was whole new shit.
And this was not like I didn't go buy a rig that's already pre-set up. You can do that.
Oh, okay.
But my thing that I've always done my whole life is I don't like to have a bunch of extra shit that the fish can see. It doesn't give me the confidence. Yeah. I want to be as stealthy as possible.
Right.
And the rigs that they have like all these swivels and stuff. And then I got people coming by on the beach saying like, did you catch any fish? And I'm just like, I caught one last night. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And they're just like, we never see anybody catch. We live on the beach. We walk back and forth. I bet we see one fish a year. And I'm like,
really?
That's crazy. And I'm like, that's nuts. Because I've done my research and I kind of know where the surf is. And like the day before I tried to go fishing, I went swimming and I was like, I could see the fish.
Really?
I'm just like, I can see. I looked
were
where I thought.
Were you swimming with goggles, or like you could just see through the water?
No, I brought goggles, and I was just kind of like scoping out because I'm like, I think I should cast about this far, and I'm doing some stuff, and I see some stuff, and I'm just like, I'm out there for maybe 30 seconds before I pop up, turn around to my wife, and I go, "They're here. They're here."
No shit.
I thought people were like, you can't catch
and you
fish,
don't know
right?
what kind of fish at this point, right? Like you can just see shit moving.
I had a good idea. I was like, this might be like a whiting, or like, I'm like, it's long, silvery fish. I didn't know what it was, but I ended up catching it the next night. And that one was a ladyfish. And that ladyfish is called, like the poor man's tarpon. It was shiny as hell, dude.
No,
it looked so
dude.
cool. It was only like this big, but they jump out of the water just
for the
on
people
their
on
own.
just audio. It's like what?
Oh,
you're talking
like
26 inches.
No, not even. It was maybe like 18, 19 inches. I didn't measure it.
Okay.
So it was like getting out of the water, but that one's not supposed to be good eating, right? So I catch that the first night, and I'm using a pompano rig. So if anybody wants to look up a pompano rig, there's a guy that has a great video where he's talking about how he shows a couple different knots and stuff to show everything to break off. That if you have like a shark gets on one of your lines or whatever, you can retie it real quick. So, or if you get anything snagged, because what it is there's a main line, and then he shows you how to make a couple of knots that have loops coming off the main line.
Oh,
so what it is there's a hook, there's a weight on the bottom, right? It's like a pyramid weight. It's a big fucker because it's got to sit there and it's got to move. It's got to be able to hold your bait in place pretty well with the surf. I mean, you're talking big waves that are moving, that water comes in and the riptide pulls out. So it's constantly.
So that's what surf fishing is, fishing from the shore. We kind of already talked about that, but yeah. So you're literally fishing in the waves and the undercurrent.
Yeah. And I think what a lot of people think that they got to cast out as far as they possibly can. And I get in the water and I'm like, they're all right here, dude. They're like, I know that there's some, but like we're fishing the surf. One dude, I was even in like grabbing some shrimp, and this was a different place. Really cool little setup, dude, where they have like raw shrimp, and you come in and you're like, I'll have a pound. And they got like this like box on the wall almost, and they just like season it up, slide it in that box, it steams it, and you get shrimp like steamed, ready to eat right there. Whoa. And then we brought that and ate it on the beach.
No way.
Yeah, dude, it was awesome. Like the in-laws knew about it.
And then they gave you some raw ones and you cast them out into the, no.
Well, that's what I did, except for I didn't get the raw ones from there. I went to Walmart and I got the raw ones, and I used fish bites. Fish bites is like this orange and white strips, and you can just cut them, and they're like, there's like a mesh net in the inside of these, so it makes it a little bit more durable.
Oh.
But that white and the orange is a hot color down there because there's they call them sand fleas, but they're basically like pincherless crustaceans.
Oh,
so they look like big ass fleas because all the crustaceans are fucking water bugs,
right?
So you flip it over if you get one of those, and when they have their eggs, they're orange eggs. So it's like this white thing with the orange on the bottom. So it's hot for the fish. And then I'm teaming that up with a piece of real shrimp that I just got from the freezer section of
Walmart.
So I'm hooking those two up, right? So back to the pompano rig, it's that weight, it goes, and then there's a line that comes off, and it's a hook. Goes, line that comes off, and there's a hook. So there's two
hooks.
Lines that come off and hooks, but there's like a foot long line off of each one.
Okay.
So I'm casting it out there. First night I catch the ladyfish, and I'm like, success. I've done what I've come out here to do.
Fuck yeah.
And then we go charter fishing, and I catch 2 fish. Then I'm pissed, and I go fishing myself, and I catch more than he caught. I caught 6 fish total.
God
when
damn.
I was out there. I caught that ladyfish, and then I caught a pompano, which was the fish that I was trying to catch, but they had a slot limit too, and I'm right there, dude. I think they had to be like 11 inches or 10 inches, and I'm just under. Damn. But those are supposed to be the ones that you want to eat, and they're like The skin is different. They feel like, if you ever felt a shark, they feel kind of like a shark. They don't have scales. They're different. But I catch a pompano. The first one, I'm like, yes, pompano. That's what I was after. Let's try to catch more. I catch a small whiting. Whiting are supposed to be good table fare too, but the small one is just way too little. But the rules down there state that you don't have a slot limit on the whiting, and you can just chop them up and use them as bait. So I took the one line, I reel it in, I cut the 2 hooks off, because that guy, what he did in that video that I was talking about is how he ties the knots, your line out to your hook, both slightly less than the line to your main line, like the test. So it can break off. And the same with the big weight hook. So if any one of those 3 pieces fails, all you got to do is retie those parts. So it was really easy for me to upsize those hooks, chop that fish up, put cut fish on my hooks, and cast it out. Now I had rod holders that were PVC pipes that I cut myself. One 10-foot long piece of PVC pipe makes 3 holders. It works perfect. You just cut them at an angle. Put a screw in the top. Not too far down. Did you do this
in Florida, or did you bring them with?
That one I made before, because
you made those before. Okay.
Yep, that one I made before.
Yeah.
So you have that angle. Bring down like a mallet or a dead blow hammer, because I brought a mallet, so you can like just hammer.
So you can really get into the beach.
Just bam, 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 bam until it doesn't go, and then you don't have to worry about them moving. And if you put a screw not too far down, then your rod won't fall all the way in to the reel. Right. It'll just go down a good ways. So I got those on, right? And I put that out there. I didn't catch anything off the cutfish, but dude, for a second, that rod just goes boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, oh
shit.
And dude, I ran and I grabbed that rod, and whatever was there was gone. My bait was still there. I don't know if I should have just waited until it really started pulling or what, but whatever it was hit. And then I thought I had a fish, so I started reeling, and then there was nothing there, and I let it sit, and it didn't come back and grab the bait. So I was like, maybe it stole the bait. And when I reeled in, the bait was still there, and I'm like, shit, dude. A little bit later, like the next day or whatever, I did see a fucking long nose gar or like spotted gar. I don't know what kind it was, but it was in the surf. Didn't know those were in the surf.
I had no idea.
I knew that we were in no danger of it. I got Beckett, my son, by the fucking life jacket, and I'm charging at it. And he's got his goggles on, and I'm like, look, I'm giving you the experience of a lifetime. I'm just like running at the fish, and I'm like, do you see it? Do you see this big fish in the surf? And he's like turning sideways, looking at me, and he's like, where? I'm like, look forward, not at me. What the fuck are you doing? It's right there in front of you. And he finally does see it. And I'm telling the girls, I'm like, there's a big fish. Come and look. They both book it to the sand. I'm just
they got out of there.
We're fine. I know what kind of fish it is. It's not a shark. It's not going to eat us. We're cool. You know, we're just looking at it. We didn't catch it. It's not feeling threatened. It's fine. You're fine. Right. Don't worry about it. So I don't know if that maybe is something that we were there. It could have been a small shark too, because one of the nights we were kind of like wading in the water up to our knees, and there was a lady that comes by, and she's just like, just so you guys know, we did see a shark fin like 100 yards out, or like 100 feet out, just down the beach. And it looked like a pretty decent size one. And we're like, well, that's about time to get out of the water, I guess.
Yes, it's time to get on the beach.
Yeah, I'm not going to be walking in there anymore. But I caught that small whiting. I caught a bigger whiting, which was the only fish I kept, because that one doesn't have a slot limit. And I was like, I'm eating this. Yeah. I brought it back. I did cook it up. I did get to eat the fish out of the ocean.
Nice.
It smelled like shit when I was cooking it. It was like the fishiest fucking fish you ever smelled. But it tasted, it was like, there was almost no fishy flavor. It tasted really good.
Huh.
And I shared some of it, and they were like, yeah, my brother-in-law was like, yeah, I was not expecting that. I thought it would taste worse with that smell. And I was like, yeah, I apologize everyone for stinking up the whole house. But yeah, that was good. Then it's supposed to be really good table fare. And I was like, this one I can eat. So I got to do it. I got to be able to say,
you got this. You fucking did this on your own.
My crowning moment was I was able to catch 2 pompano at the same time. I got both of them on the hooks.
No way.
So the pompano rig did what it was supposed to do, and I caught 2, which is not something a lot of people do. So when I felt very accomplished because I got people walking by saying that they never see anybody catch fish.
Right.
And I'm catching fish every outing, and I caught 2 pompano at the same time.
Right.
Still just barely underneath the slot limit, but I ended up catching, what was it? It's 2 whiting, 3 pompano, and a ladyfish. So I caught 6 fish on my own.
Right.
In the surf, based off of just not listening to some of the people, just figuring it out myself. The guy that I bought the shrimp from, I don't know if I told that part because I went off on a tangent of where you go. Yeah. That guy said, just make sure you I would walk out as far as you can and then cast. He's like, the fish aren't in the surf. And then as soon as I get in the water, I'm like, fish are right here in the fucking surf. What are you talking about? and then I caught fish. I don't know if everybody's listening to this.
He didn't even tell you what kind of fish or anything. He's like, he didn't say like walk out a little further and throw and the reds will be there. He didn't say anything like that. Go out a little bit further and there's a chance of getting a small shark. He didn't say anything like that.
I've heard like in the deeper water that like anything could come past. And for the cut fish, I did walk out deep because I was like, I'm sure the big fish are not up here. I'm going to cast that one out, or, you know, I'm basically trying to catch like the sunfish of this ecosystem, you know,
right.
They're nothing like a sunfish, but it's like, they're a little bit more, curious. They're going to swim up in the surf and see like what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
I was just trying to catch.
But that's what you were trying to do, is just like put panfish on the table kind of.
Yep. Yeah. And there's a couple of spots where there's bridges and stuff. And I want once I learned from our guide, which we ended up doing the guide thing like later in the trip, I should have just been fishing on the bay side for redfish off of the shore on the bay side. I was fishing the surf.
Mm-hmm.
I could have totally rigged up the lines that I had with the clacker rig and just went and fished like off the bridge, just like you would here in Minnesota.
Right.
You're going to fish from shore, go to where the structure is by the bridge.
Right. Yep.
So note to everybody out there, if you're going down there and you want to catch some fish and stuff, I think you can pretty much get on anything that's shallow on your own. In just that put in area, a little effort
first.
Yeah. In that area. If you're down in like the Florida Keys, some of that seems like there's just giant flats that they'll drive you out on, and they'll find you a spot and you'll be in the boat just like we were on. When I saw that boat, I'm like, yes, we're going to fish the flats. We drove past, we saw like stingrays on the flats. We saw dolphins. It was a cool experience.
Sure.
We fished docks and boat landings. It's all shit I could have done from shore. So
yeah,
that was a little bit disappointing because I was like, I really thought that you were going to like, it was going to be what I saw on TV. But I guess maybe that was just my ignorance of not realizing that Destin is a great spot to be fishing for redfish, but it's not what I have seen on TV. What I have seen on TV, I think might be even more south. And they were fishing the flats and they were using artificial baits.
Right. Right. And even probably further west too. Right. Because I see a lot of red fishing like over in the Houston area. And
you couldn't get more.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. You couldn't get more west in Florida. So now that you say Houston is like, yeah, if you could go fish in the Houston area, or what the fuck is next to it? Louisiana,
yeah.
Yeah. So,
but it's harder to get out into the Gulf from that because there's so much bayou there, from what I've seen.
Oh, okay.
I'm not from there by any means.
Yeah,
but
I've never looked into any of that stuff. But yeah,
but if you are from that area, let us know.
Yeah, it was a good time. We had a good trip down there. We went to Shell Island, which was just walking. I'll tell you what, dude. Me and you and a couple other dudes went to Wyoming snowboarding back in the day.
Yep.
And I was not prepared to be riding down a mountain like that where like the whole time it's like slanted one way,
right,
and you're on your toe edge.
Yeah.
And it's just like the calf workout of a lifetime.
Oh yeah.
And like a couple runs down, I'm like, dude, my calves are shot. I cannot.
Right.
I ended up going back to the room early because I'm like, I literally, my legs are jello. I can't do this anymore.
Right.
That shit was nothing compared to walking in the fucking finest white sand beaches you've ever seen.
Really?
All day I was walking, and the next day I'm like, my legs are just dead because every step you take, you're like just kind of like pushing away nothing.
Oh my
and then
God.
it didn't
it's like
help
walking
them.
through warm snow or something.
Yeah. Well, that and my son was like not wanting to walk some of the spots.
Sure.
So I got him like on my shoulders. So I'm like another 60 pounds, 70 pounds on my shoulders while I'm walking through this shit. Oh, dude, my back and my legs were just the next day. I'm like, oh, I'm so fucking sore.
Oh my!
But it was super cool. Shell Island was like they take you out onto this island that's a nature habitat. So there's no cabins, there's no nothing on this land. And then shells wash up in the Gulf side, and we were finding like lots of cool sand dollars and all sorts of nice stuff. So yeah, you basically just pay them to drive you out there. And then on the way back in, they're like, if you had fun, you can tip us. And I'm just like, I already paid too much to have you drive me to a freaking island where all you did was, you're just a taxi cab, dude.
Right.
You didn't even bring me out there. I walked. But we were seeing, some people did bring fishing rods over there. And there were spots where there was like a rock up here. Like if I would have went on the charter fishing first, I definitely would have brought my rod and stuff.
Oh,
and just
because you
had
would have
my wife
seen
and son
the
be
opportunities
like
on Shell Island.
I would have known how he fished and just been like, oh, I can just do this anywhere.
Oh,
and just set up a line and see. And they had like this big, a jetty. So it's like riprap, but it's literally just a long. Here it's riprap, but just smaller rocks. There it's big boulders that go out in the line that are literally there to like break the waves coming in.
Right. Yeah.
So it doesn't, and there was a big one, and I'm like, look at that fucking structure, dude. It's just a big point of rocks.
Right
here.
Yep.
There's fish here for sure. That's where I should have. That's where I thought he was going to bring us. That's where I want to be fishing.
Like that.
Right there is where I could have been casting a line out. And when we went swimming, me and my son went swimming because they said that there was turtles in this other bay. And it's like, if you want to see turtles, like this is where you would swim. So after we caught the shells and stuff, we went back and we were like, oh, we're going to, see if we can see a turtle here. No turtles, but we did see quite a few different kind of fish, like the needlefish, which are just super skinny, long things at the top.
Super small.
And then big ladyfish. They had big ladyfish over there, and they were catching. They all catch air for whatever reason, just randomly, just pew out the water, just like hell yeah, bro.
That's bitching.
That's why they call them the mini tarpon. They are very shiny, and they get out. Like when I was fighting the one in, he didn't really jump much though.
Oh,
because he had that weight, but he did get out of the water a couple of times. The pompanos didn't at all.
Sure.
But that ladyfish did get out of the water a couple of times.
That's cool.
With dragging in like a 2-ounce weight.
Right.
Which is a pretty hefty weight.
It is.
So
no doubt.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, that was the whole trip. I did well.
I'm just pumped you had success. Like I'm so pumped that you were so confident. You're like, dude, I'm pretty sure I got this. Like, I think I know what I need to do, or I know what I need to look up. Like, you just had so much confidence of going out and surf fishing. And I'm fucking glad, one, you proved yourself right. And two, you got to eat fish. We had talked about it off air and off podcast. Like, if you have good success and all this other stuff, because even though you didn't get what you wanted, you still knew what you could do. You knew your
ladyfish, poor man's tarpon. Then I just start dropping all these facts. Bam, 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 bam. It's this, let's just be like, that's a pretty cool fish I got, right? But then, so I knew everything that I needed to do, and I executed the plan, and I'm glad that the majority of my fishing time spent after that outing of $800 went well, because if I wouldn't have caught fish, after blowing $800 to not really catch any fish, probably be one less homeless guy in Florida. Just fucking murder that dude. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't have done that, but I would not have been happy. The drive home would have sucked shit. Right. But I could at least hang my hat on. It even made me feel better. Just be like, I know it was a cold front or whatever. I was dealing with the same conditions on the other side.
Yeah. And also not in a boat. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And it's like, I caught fish.
Right.
Just being like, and then I was even talking with my brother-in-law. He's like, why did we use, these circle hooks? He's like, what's that all about? And I'm just like, oh, circle hooks are a little bit more foolproof. You don't need to set the hook. You can just kind of like reel it up and it sets the hook itself. He was doing this. And I was like, the question I have, and there was a couple of different questions on the rigs he was using. I don't need to get into the weeds, but it was just like, I don't know why we would do that. It seemed more like I would do this. And then I just taking shots at Mitch the whole fucking time. I'm like, but hey, well, what do I know? I didn't get paid $800 to help people not catch many fish.
I think another takeaway from this, we'll wrap. We got to wrap because we're going to do a short. We'll do a short random take after this. But what that random take is a switch. And anyways, I think the big takeaway here, Tim, is like another big takeaway, because I swear you've said this before, sort of, and from your other experiences, is it's almost like it's the Minnesota nice. It's the I'm on vacation, I'm trying to relax sort of thing. It's something to that effect. Is you are willing to put in the time to figure out what's good, but you also are willing to listen. So like, okay, here's a clacker rig. I've never seen one of these things before. We're doing this, but I also know that this is what this does. And I know that if we tried this, it would change it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's like you need the confidence, or we need to like get on a charter where someone's open to ideas, where you feel like they're open to ideas, and you just need to go and be like, okay, we've tried your way now for 2.5 hours. My turn.
Right. Yeah.
Or we have 5 rods in the water.
Yeah.
Let's do 2 of them like this.
Yeah. Just be like, listen, I know you do this for a living. I'm not trying to step on your toes.
Right.
I fish a lot. I'm seeing some things that we're doing right now, and I'm kind of putting together a couple of puzzle pieces. Can I try this? I should have just been like that.
Like, how do you bring that up? How do you do that? Somebody in the comments, please tell us. Email us, contact@realaf.tv.
In hindsight,
/contact. Let us know, like, how do you do that nicely? Because you do feel like someone is doing their best job, and this is their job, and it's hard to step on their toes, right? Like, we don't come from an area of the United States where we do stuff like that. We don't feel comfortable necessarily.
Yeah. In hindsight, with him, the way I should have done it was just be like, hey, how about I try it my way? You didn't even want to work today. And I'm not even sure what your fucking name is. How about you just step back? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you know, let us know. We are going to move on to the random take, where we're going to talk a little bit of Zelda. We're going to talk a little bit of Mario, because I got some stuff from Mario. It's going to get into some dad shit there.
I got some Mario questions.
All right. I'm not far in, but that's okay. We're gonna jump into it. Let's go ahead. Stop this.
I didn't know you had it. Ooh.
Oh yeah, dude. I got Mario. Right. We're gonna get into some dad shit. So okay. Here we go. We're gonna jump into the random take. There we go. Hit the break.